Hello, the 31st here, how's it going? Welcome back to another PowerPoint presentation. Although this one with a twist. I've had an idea. It's not one that I could do a full video or full region about, but it's still a pretty cool little concept that I thought I could share with the world. I also believe it could solve one of the biggest issues with the Pokemon games, and that is the issue of replayability. Once I've beaten a Pokemon game, I rarely have a reason to go back and pick the game up again, let alone restart my save file. Obviously, people have made their own fun in the games after they've completed it by doing stuff like shiny hunting, competitive battling, and breeding. But these aren't a reason to restart your save file. In fact, they're the exact opposite. The two main issues that stop people from restarting a save file are, one, because the story is not really worth replaying immediately. A lot of times if someone is going to replay a Pokemon game, it'll be years on later down the line. And two, they don't want to lose all the progress they've made. They've spent a lot of time catching Pokemon and training them, and they don't want to just have that all go away. When I catch Pokemon, they're generally pretty precious to me. So needless to say, when some friend of mine stole my level 100 Vaporeon, I was pretty pissed. I can do a story time with that one day if you're interested, let me know. But I think this was only really an issue several generations ago. These days we have the internet, we have stuff like Pokemon Home. The fear of losing all those shinies and all the max EV IV Pokemon that you spent hours and hours getting and breeding is no longer there. You can take all those Pokemon with you if you want to restart your game. So I've thought of an idea that would help maybe tackle that first one. My concept is a Pokemon game with multiple story paths. Wow, what an amazingly original idea I've had. Oh my god. Yeah, obviously that idea has been talked about and done before. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about a more open world Pokemon game. My concept is still very much linear, but by your actions allows you to have a different story depending on how you play the game. Specifically to make the game more replayable. It basically involves encounters with a very powerful evil team multiple times throughout your journey. I'm imagining the first one to be pretty early on during your game. The evil team's grunts are doing something evil, achieving some unknown objective. So, as the good Samaritan you are, you go over to challenge them. But you find out very early on that you are absolutely not on their level. While you send out the level 5s that you've just been catching at the very beginning of your journey, this evil team grunt sends out a level 30 Pokemon and has a couple more of them waiting in the wings, just in case you manage to beat the first one. So at this massive disadvantage, you find yourself crushed. So basically you just go on with your game. Or unless you're a savant and you manage to beat them anyway, I know there are people like that out there. These encounters aren't unwinnable. You're just very unlikely to beat these evil grunts because the odds are so heavily stacked against you. So after a few more of these encounters, getting HM badges, beating the Elite Four and the Champion, as well as the evil team's boss and his ultimate weapon, as well as catching yourself a cool legendary Pokemon, you have finished the game. But then you start to wonder, what if? What if I had just beaten those grunts on Route 3? What would have happened? So you move your team or just one strong Pokemon over to Pokemon Home and you restart your game. So this time when you approach them with a powerful Pokemon, you win. And they scurry off without ever achieving their objective. And by doing these encounters and winning, you eventually find that you've stopped the evil team. You eventually find out that you have stopped the evil team from getting the parts they need to complete their evil weapon. So, they change their plans. Thus, a new timeline is formed where things unfold differently. Your actions influence the evil team, and their new actions in turn have consequences on the rest of the world. The evil team hatches new plans and attacks new people. Maybe they even come after you and your family. Especially the more and more of these trigger encounters you decide to defeat. Beating these trigger encounters would be cues for dynamic leveling, so you weren't able to just steamroll the whole game with a strong Pokemon. This would include making gym leaders and other key trainers around the region stronger as well, improving their teams and their levels. I would also like to point out that these would be optional encounters. You wouldn't have to do any of them. There would obviously be compulsory key encounters with the evil team throughout the game that you have to do, but those would be different. Those would be the regular encounters that you would have in any other game. You would know when it's a trigger encounter because it would give you the option to not do it. They would ask, hey kid, do you really want to fight us? And you would say yes or no, depending on how naive or strong you are. That means doing different amounts of these trigger encounters would allow for very different ends to the game, as you would be disrupting the plans of the evil team different amounts. You would uncover the extent of all their plans from the original timeline, as well as have options to foil new plans in the new timelines that you create. Plus, it would mean that your actions in the game have real consequences that you can see throughout your multiple playthroughs. And I personally am a big fan of the whole turn left trope. The idea that changing your actions in one key moment will have a butterfly effect on the rest of the world and change the entire timeline. Obviously, this is just a very vague and general idea. By no means is it in any way fleshed out or, would fit into any particular region. And I think to be most effective, it relies heavily on the element of surprise, which unfortunately in our current internet climate of leaks and news, I think would be largely impossible. Although that said, having some knowledge of the mechanic would definitely allow you to play around with the experience more, as you'd be able to, change the game, like I said, as much or as little as you want. But anyway, I still think it's cool. And if you do too, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any ideas of how maybe this could be changed or altered to really make it a more compelling or more interesting or more functional mechanic for a game, I would love to hear it. Alternatively, if you have your own ideas of what could improve a Pokemon game or at least just the replayability of a Pokemon game, also write those down below. In fact, if you have an entire idea for a whole story and region for a game, just leave it in the comments below. I would genuinely love to read them. Now with all that said, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. Slightly different one. We'll see how the format turns out. Let me know. And bye.